Hey everybody, welcome to It's Real with Jordan and Demi. In LA, I'm Jordan Edwards, and in England, it's Demi Ramos. And we are here to talk about the holidays. In fact, that sound you hear is the unmistakable sound of royalty-free holiday music. Are you having a good holiday season, Demi?
It's really weird. I'm having a hard time getting, into the festive vibes this year.
Oh, yeah? It's funny because...
Maybe it's the switch up of time zones.
So speaking of England, I had the chance to interview Calum Scott about his new holiday single with Christina Perri, Kid at Christmas. And it starts out with me asking, I accidentally did not record the first minute of it, which was super smart. So it'll start with Calum talking about how he got the idea for recording the single. And after that, we'll be back with our 2024 year in review.
Earlier this year, when I was on tour with Ed Sheeran, I was sent a Christmas song just to listen to, an outside song that somebody else had written. And it was Kid at Christmas. And I was just like, oh my God, this is actually something I could see myself singing. And so I got into the studio in Malta in about 30 degrees Celsius heat and recorded my vocal on this Christmas song. And I just immediately felt like it was classic and timeless. And I was kind of thinking about who I could bring in and recruit to help me on this. And Christina Perri was somebody I'd met earlier that year, and we'd said that we'd do something together. And she's incredible. I'm a massive fan of her work, of her voice, of her heart. And so she very gladly jumped on with me, and here we are with a Christmas song, which is just crazy.
And you're doing interviews with a Christmas tree in the background.
I'm doing the best. I'm doing the best I can.
Yeah, it looks great. You got the sweater. You got a nice, warm, cozy sweater on. You look like you could be in the sequel to Love Actually.
Well, Christina, it's so funny because we were just doing a bunch of interviews here in the UK, and Christina said that in the US, you guys don't have a Christmas chart, a Christmas.
No, there's no such thing as a Christmas #1 here. Yeah.
She just thought that was a Love Actually invention, and that.
Oh, to be honest, I kind of did too. When I was a kid and I saw the movie, I was like, what is this Christmas #1 stuff? What is that?
Well, we're in the running. We've got a submission, so we're hopefully they will be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do, obviously Christmas is a little different in the US than it is in the UK. The song's called Kid at Christmas, I want to ask, what was your favorite Christmas present as a kid? What did you get? Is there any specific present that stands out?
Oh, I mean, Christmas for me is always about family. It's always about friends, and I come from a big family, so we all around the tree, all on Christmas morning at stupid o'clock in the morning. I've always been a big Marvel fan, so for me, getting swords and shields and Thor hammer and everything like that was always my dream. And I remember one year, it's funny, there's actually footage of it somewhere, but when we were looking through our home footage to submit something for our official video at Kid at Christmas, I found a video of me in blue and yellow spandex, which I assume was supposed to be for Wolverine, but I had the most flaccid blades that came out because they were made of cotton. So it was just these flaccid, limp blades that came out of if that was enough to kill the Marvel dream for me, luckily I've loved it through it. But yeah, that was particularly a slightly disappointing present.
That was kind of a downer, Cal. I'm not gonna lie. I was hoping for something a little bit cheery, but whatever.
Oh, well, all right. Let me give you a more.
You're sort of like Power Rangers age. Were you into Power Rangers?
Yeah. I got all the Power Rangers. I had that one where you got all of the Power Rangers, different weapons, and you could make the big
put them together
Power Ranger blaster. Unbelievable. Yeah. I was a fun bloke, beating up my sister with that.
Oh yeah, that's what it's good for. Yeah, totally. So we did a holiday kickoff show with Clay Aiken very different than different upbringing than you. What's your favorite? We asked him what his favorite Christmas food is. Do you have a specific dish, or are you a? Because I don't know. Like I think of the UK as like quail or something. I don't know. What's your favorite Christmas food?
Quail. Well, obviously we have our Christmas dinners, which is usually turkey and stuffing, and obviously we have. I'm in my hometown now of Yorkshire, where we have Yorkshire puddings. Yorkshire puddings was made here, so we have that, which is a Christmas staple. But for me, it's always the leftovers, man. It's always the next day: turkey, stuffing, cranberry sauce, mayonnaise. Stick it in a sandwich. Oh, honestly,
mayonnaise.
Oh my God, yeah. Just dousing that guy. Like, it should be swimming in mayonnaise. Oh, delicious.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
I was just saying on a bunch of interviews we just did recently, for some reason, my Christmas Eve tradition, and I don't know if it's since I moved out, and clearly you can tell that I'm single, but my traditions usually on Christmas Eve is Domino's pizza on a Christmas Eve. I don't know if it's festive, but it's definitely something else.
Do you get green peppers and pepperoni, so it's like Christmas colors?
Oh my God, of course. And the biggest garlic and herb dip you can get.
Oh yeah, the garlic dip is a must for sure.
Oh
Very festive. Yeah. Since you are a connoisseur of Christmas music, there's two categories. There's the Christmas carols, the traditional stuff, and then there's the pop arrangements, like the stuff that we hear on the radio and from the 1940s through the 60s, that classic era. So there's a two-part question. Is what's your favorite traditional Christmas carol, and then what's your favorite Christmas pop song?
Okay, my favorite Christmas carol, and it was an honor for me to be a part of this, but "Oh Holy Night," which is a song that Nat King Cole sang, and I was able to go into Capitol Studios in LA and to record a duet version using his voice, which was insane. I mean, to be there, his piano was there. I was singing into Frank Sinatra's microphone. It was pretty incredible. I mean, it's
one of those old school ribbon microphones. Was it like an old ribbon microphone? Oh my
God, yeah, just like that vintage sound that as soon as you
warm,
sing it,
velvety.
you just feel sublime. And then I guess a complete curveball on that. I was quite obsessed with Justin Bieber Mistletoe for quite a while. Just slightly different from Oh Holy Night, but I think my favorite one is probably Fairy Tales of New York by the Pogues. I just think it's
nice. Good choice.
Yeah, man. I think it's a little bit rugged and a little bit rough and a little bit. I just love the duet. I love how it always reminds me of Christmas, and it doesn't go too far where it's like driving home for Christmas. There's a beautiful song, but I think sometimes it's nice to do something that just is ever so slightly less Christmassy than you'd think.
It evokes the feeling of Christmas.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And what is your favorite Christmas movie? I think as a Brit, everyone expects you to say Love Actually. I think but
You know what? My favorite Christmas movie every year is Elf. I mean,
Elf, good choice.
Will Ferrell is God to me anyway, but Elf it always gets me in the feel, and I think it's the fact that my granddad, bless him, when he was alive, he was a big Will Ferrell fan, and he just used to have him cracking up. Home Alone, obviously, my granddad was a huge fan of that too, and I think it's that slapstick humor that he loved, and Elf was kind of when I was wanting to watch Christmas movies and was wanting to be a cool sort of like I had my own tastes and I could do what I want to do, and Elf was one I loved and my granddad loved as well, and yeah, just very, very fond of it. The line in it that I absolutely love is the where he's Santa and he's like Santa, and it's like I know him. That for me, it just makes me laugh every time. I love it.
And I love the way Will Ferrell played it, just the pure joy, you know.
Yeah, yeah, man. I mean, that's what I mean. It's kind of a lovely segue into my song, but that kid at Christmas feeling that you get, coming down the stairs and seeing all the presents under the tree and knowing that Santa's brought them all, and it's just like the magic of Christmas. I think is just so important as a kid, and I think as you get older, you have that magic in different ways, whether it's you giving to your kids or whether it's having a romance on Christmas or whatever it is. I think it becomes magical again as you turn into an adult. And so that's what the whole Kid at Christmas song is about. It's about kind of re-sparking that magic and that love and yeah, just coming down and getting goosebumps and having a tingly face because you're just so excited about the day.
Yeah, exactly. I always had one big present that was already open when I walked in, Yeah. One real quick question before we let you go. We wanted to ask this last time we talked to you, but non-Christmas question to end it.
Yeah.
Is it weird that is it weird to you that your version of Dancing on My Own has more streams than the original? How's your relationship with that?
I mean, yeah, it's crazy. For the longest time, I really badly wanted Robin's sort of stamp of approval on there because to enable to put it out and to have it used in TV and sync and stuff like that, we obviously needed Robin's permission and we got it. And there's many times I reached out and wanted to hear from Robin herself, and it was a little bit difficult to get hold of her. And being an artist in the music industry myself now, you get so many messages, it's impossible, right? And so I was a little bit sad that at first I thought maybe she hates it, maybe I've done a disservice to her by my version of the song. And it was I had a lovely moment with her a couple of years after we released it, and I was in a radio station in London, and she just walked by me, and I was kind of like trying to grasp breath in order to go and speak to her. I was introduced to her, and she's like, "Oh my God, you're Calum Scott. You're the guy who covered Dance on My Own." I was like, "Yeah, I'm such a huge fan. I can't believe that you're here." And she was like, "Listen, I'm just so grateful. This song's in front of a brand new audience. The song's having another life of its own. I'm so the version is beautiful." And I cried in the elevator the whole way back down. It was a real affirming moment for me. And now I sit here with a plaque on my wall with 1 billion streams of my version, and I guess that just shows the amount of people that have heard it, that loved it. And I've done what I wanted to do in the industry, which is to leave a mark on people and to just do what the heart, my heart does, which is to just sort of exude emotion. And to whether it's my song or whether it's somebody else's song, it's just my interpretation. And one thing that I know that I can do is be emotional and give that emotion out. And yeah, it's unreal. I mean, 1,000 million streams is a ridiculous number.
It is. All right. Wow. I'm really glad that you guys connected on that. That makes me, that kind of like closes a loop for me. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, well,
I'm grateful.
Well, we're grateful for your Christmas song. How do you like that? That's a good transition right there. I sound like a morning news anchor.
Loved it.
All right. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Calum, and happy Christmas, as they say in the UK. And we'll talk to you later.
Yeah, happy Christmas. Thank you so much. Have a good one, man.
Bye-bye. So that was my conversation with Calum Scott about his holiday single with Christina Perri. Demi, we mentioned that you're spending your first Christmas outside of the country. How are you, what's the difference in terms of the way, like the stores are, or the way, like the atmosphere, New York compared to where you're at now?
Definitely doesn't feel like there's a difference, but there's just in New York City so many more people and everyone's so much tighter, so you just feel that energy that much more.
The
And
bustle.
being more of like the countryside, I guess it's definitely like more like
Yeah.
the energy spread
Are you enjoying spending
on the
time in a
land.
smaller city though, right?
Weirdly enough, I really am.
Yeah. I bet it would be a
There's only
nice,
so much you can take of New York, Jordan, as you know.
yeah. Especially during the winter and when it gets cold in New York,
Yeah.
it becomes a darker city. You get less daylight, so anyway,
Yeah.
enough about that. Let's talk about the year in music. Of course, the biggest story was the rise of the pop girly led by Charlie XCX, Chappell Roan, and Sabrina Carpenter. How did you feel about that whole situation? Do you like the direction that music is going, or who did you get into this year?
In terms of the pop direction, kind of where we're going, yeah, it's expected because usually when you tip one way, then you tip the other way. So we kind of had a very alternative forward moment, right? The past since COVID,
Yeah,
kind of seems like we're kind of yin and yang. We're trying to balance out, going a little bit more pop, and I think it's cool. I think the pop girlies are having a moment, and that's dope. It's
yeah,
been a minute too, because to that was like mumble rap and kind of like aggressive hip hop and things like that.
and Chappell Roan has been good to us this year. Thank you for the millions of views that you have bestowed upon our Chappell Roan
She loved
videos.
me.
Um, but in all seriousness, what Chappell Roan did was she completely made a new set of rules. After COVID, we were really in this sort of lane where most of the big songs were really short, 2.5 minutes long. Think things like, Old Town Road and songs like that. And Chappell Roan comes out with songs that are 3.5, 4 minutes long. They have an intro, they have pre-choruses, they have a bridge. Pink Pony Club has two guitar solos. And you're seeing that kind of ripple effect where more and more hit songs are longer. Also, it feels like we're heading in a more mature direction. One thing that Chappell and Sabrina and Charlie all have in common is that they're both, in their mid 20s and older because they've been around for a while. They've been grinding it out, and the music industry basically kind of caught up with them. And even on the men's side, Shabuzi, Teddy Swims, these are all artists these aren't teen artists. This isn't, music for 12-year-olds. This is music for adults. And it kind of reminds me of the late 80s, early 90s when you had people like Celine Dion and Michael Bolton and Rod Stewart and Elton John
Wow.
dominating the
Kate Bush.
charts. And all those people were in their 30s and 40s, and those who weren't, like Celine Dion and the early Mariah Carey releases, they really dressed those artists up to look more adult versus, in the late 90s, early 2000s, the whole thing was to look as young and as cool as possible when you think about the boy band era and Y2K pop and stuff like that. So that's my
That's
kind of,
fascinating.
huh?
That's fascinating.
Yeah, but yeah. So, and I think of that, I'm a former music journalist. I guess I sort of still am a music journalist. So I think of things from an analytical point of view when it comes to trends in the music industry. And
Very true. Like, I mean, you look at one of my favorites right now is Suki Waterhouse. That is no
right.
secret. But yeah, like you're absolutely right. She kind of just put out a really cool album that we're gonna get to, but also just had a baby and then went back on tour, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But like, I think like very interesting stuff, Jordan.
Yeah. I think that it's encouraging that there are artists who have been around for a while who are starting to, get more mainstream attention. Even the Marias, no one noticed. That's like a top 40 hit now, which is crazy. So
The Marias.
I like it. I think we're heading in a good musical direction. So you mentioned Suki Waterhouse and I live in Silver Lake, and which is like the cool kid part of town, and there was Suki Waterhouse. There was a Suki Waterhouse billboard here in Silver Lake. I don't know if it's up anymore. Besides Suki Waterhouse, what else were you into?
She clearly makes me very excited. No, okay, so besides Suki Waterhouse for my top 5?
Yeah, like what else were you into?
Okay, well, Memories of a Sparkle Muffin. We can't skip over her. I mean, let's start with her. If you like dreamy and glitter and girly and soft and hard all at the same time, you're gonna love this new Suki Waterhouse album. But then, if you wanna, for some contrast here, another album that I really love that you should check out is Knock Loose. And a lot of hardcore fans will say they've gone a bit commercial, but I think that's part of evolving, right? You don't want to just make the same album 10 times over,
Absolutely.
It's sort of like the Turnstile.
It's what you do with your bigger audience and your bigger budget for recording. And I think
100%.
Yeah. And I think one of your favorites, Turnstile, is a good example of what you can do when you have a bigger audience and a bigger budget. Doesn't mean you have to dumb the music down. Doesn't mean you have to sell out.
Yeah, but you can clean it up, and maybe, what's wrong with that?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? What's wrong with that? So yeah, that album is called You Won't Go Before You're Supposed to, which I'm not too sure what that means, but what do you think it means, Jordan?
I don't know. I think that I think somebody was smoking a J at 2 a.m. and thought that was a cool sounding name. That's my guess.
Another one. What is that? Number 3, Girl by Coco and Claire. They're one of the artists that you just kind of stumble on by accident on like Spotify radio, which is what happened to me. And we are definitely going to have to get them on the show, because what a duo, what a unique kind of, genre that they're in as well, where it's like you can't really place them in a genre. It's definitely pop music, but it's let's call it vibe music. How about that? For any Sonic Youth lover, Kim Gordon does have a new album out called The Collective, and I think it's worth a listen. We've had Mr. Thurston on the show, who was awesome. Shout out, right, Jordan? Funny story, me and Jordan, when we first had Thurston on the show, we're like just starting out this podcast, and we were like, had him on the phone on speaker, like, and I swear I was holding the microphone next to the phone, and we were just like freaking out the whole time, because we were just like having a what do they call it, a starstruck moment for like 40 minutes straight. And he was very like down to answer anything, so that was a memorable moment. Shout out. It's not like we're taking sides or anything, but the last one is kind of a throwback, someone who you might have obsessed over for at least a little bit in the past decade, Mr. Young Lean. I think it's pronounced Psychos, but yeah, he's kind of bringing sad boy to a whole other level here. A little acoustic vibes, a little bit like SoundCloudy type vibes, but I feel like it's perfect for winter. So I highly recommend.
That was a great and diverse list. You got some hip hop there, you got some rock, and I think it's interesting that you brought up the Kim Gordon album, because if you listen to it, it's a very modern sounding album. A lot of times when an older artist puts out a new album, it's sort of like a rehash of what they've done in the past, or it's a little bit, kind of safe. But Kim Gordon's album is really out there, and it sounds like a younger artist without. So awesome. Cool. So before we go, now this isn't our last show of the year. We have one more next week with Kelsey Carter. What is there anything underground? This is Demi's opportunity to shout out a group that maybe someone doesn't know that's not. And I appreciate Demi because in the past when we've done like these top albums, Demi's like gone on to some weird, like obscure German dark wave thing. So I appreciate Demi offering 5 favorite albums that are easily accessible and popular in the mainstream, but going into the underground, what do you have to recommend?
All right, well, let's just go straight for the pioneers of like New York City underground for the past maybe decade and a half now. That might be a little bit over in terms of time, but Show Me the Body released an album called Corpus 2. And I mean, they're just one of those like legacy acts that Jordan, take it. I mean, you can back me on this. Is just anyone that sees a live show is going to feel that energy no matter if they're into that music or not. That's how I got into that band, is because I stumbled upon a show and all of a sudden I wanted to play, distorted electric guitar. And it's like, it's just, they're one of those kind of acts, and it's super special.
Yeah. Do you, I know that when you were younger, you went to a lot of hardcore shows and you were really how do you go to a lot of shows in New York now, just for the hell of it, or are those days behind you?
You know what's so funny is that I don't, and it's because the music has gotten a lot softer. And I think the reason why I was going to those shows, it's not like you're going to get quality sound, right, at a hardcore show, but it's the energy, and it's like the kind of people that came to those shows. It was just like a place where you can kind of like not really think about what you're wearing that day or what you appear like. You know what I mean? You can just come in and just like, you haven't showered since like maybe 6 a.m. and it's like now 10 p.m. and now you're just going to go and just like vibe out with a bunch of other, you know what I'm saying? And then see the same people that you saw last weekend at the show. It's just like, that was the vibe. And like, yeah. So I think now the I guess if you want to call it a scene or whatever in New York, is just it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Not as much of a,
sure.
I don't know.
And when I went, yeah, it definitely is different from when I started this journey I'm on now. About 10 years, exactly 10 years ago was when I started shooting bands and stuff inside small New York venues that no longer exist, like Shea Stadium and Cake Shop and places like that. So anyway, enough down. So much for the trip down memory lane. But
can I make an announcement?
Sure, go ahead.
If you are a fan of Show Me the Body, then you may know Girl Pusher. Girl Pusher is a duo that literally like is just was a part of that kind of like hardcore upbringing in that, in that era where Show Me the Body was coming up. And they're actually coming out. They've reactivated their Instagram account, and they're coming out with a new album like really soon. The track list has been posted. So that is what I just got really excited about that. So I think I should know that.
Oh, love it. Love it. Love it. Yeah. And I love this is what you're seeing that I see a lot as the enthusiastic Demi that's just really pumped to talk about music and stuff. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you for watching this year in review episode. As I mentioned before, we'll be back next week for our final show of the year with Kelsey Carter. Until next time, we'll see you later.